What's a creepy encounter you'll never forget? Well, when I was in 4th grade, there was an attempt in what I would assume would go down as kidnapping me. I was quite chubby at the time, could also be considered fat. One day I was taking a morning stroll with my parents when they got a bit ahead of me, like 30 to 40 meters ahead. I passed by a bakery which hadn't opened shop yet, and less than a minute later, this guy in his mid-30s came by on his bike and asked if I knew when the bakery was gonna open. I said I had no clue. The guy asked if there were any other bakeries nearby, and I told him that I'm not sure, but there was probably another one further down the road. This was a pretty normal conversation, but by the time we got to this point, I felt that he was getting uncomfortably close to me. I jumped over a canal by the side of the road and tried to make sure he couldn't follow me on his bike, and as expected, he rode away. I didn't see the situation as awfully suspicious at the time, so I kept walking and didn't pick up the pace to reach my parents and tell them what just happened. After like a minute or two, the guy came back, commented on my fat ass, then suggested that I should hop on his bike to help him find the other bakery I told him about. Mind you, he was less than a meter away from me and there was practically no one else around. This is when I got really nervous and didn't know what to do. When I refused his offer, he tried to grab me around the waist, but I pushed him away. Seeing that he couldn't possibly lift my fat ass and drag me away against my will, he gave up and rode away. For good this time. But that's not the end of it. I actually memorized his plate number and told my parents the whole thing. We reported the incident to the police and gave them the plate number. But my dad was pissed. We spent the next week driving around the neighborhood around the same time the guy tried to kidnap me to see if we can find him. And find him we did. One morning we saw the guy riding his bike in an intersection, so we tailed him and found his workplace, which was relatively close. My dad drove back home and dropped me off. He didn't want to get me any more involved than I already was, and then drove right back to the police station and took a few officers to the guy's workplace. He was arrested on the spot and taken to court after some time, but we eventually let him go. Can't remember why. I was a kid, so no one would really tell me anything. I was also mugged last month, but I wouldn't classify that as creepy since it actually happened.